Okay, we back with another edition of the Dream Interpretation Masterclass. So far, we have gone over the structure of the mind and understand the conscious, subconscious, and superconscious, and the correlation of those, the different dimensions, the different bodies that use those different minds. We have gone over the basics of dreams, what dreams are, why we dream, and what the language that these dreams are in, the universal language of the mind. And we have begin to break down symbols, begin to understand the language. We have understood how to write down and record our dreams each night. So we should be doing that every night. And we have then also gone over the creation story in from the Bible in the universal language of the mind, and then saw how that was depicting the entire structure of the mind right here. So we've that's what we've gone over now. So we've understood that our dreams are in a language, our mind communicates in a language, and we can interpret our dreams through that language. We interpret holy scriptures through that language. Now today we are going to learn how we are able to decode movies through that language. This is huge. This is huge for me at least. I mean, I love it. So in here, whoops, in here. All right, let us begin. So as a recap, our dreams are the greatest tool for self awareness because you are going into yourself and assessing and looking at the thoughts within your mind. You know what I mean? So, like we said, thoughts are images. If I ask you to think about your best friend, an image of them comes to mind. Think about your favorite food, an image comes to mind. Think about your dream house, an image comes to mind. Think about a balloon. You can tell what color it is. So our thoughts are images. So when we go into our dreams, we're seeing the images, the thoughts that are within our mind, so we can become more aware, more self-aware. So the more we understand about the dreams and everything in it, the more we are understanding about ourselves. Right. Foundational understandings for dreams. Again, one, every dream is about you, the dreamer. I cannot drill this home enough. Now, yes, there are precognitive dreams. Yes, there are visitation dreams. Yes, you can go and meet up with someone else in a dream. But even those dreams, which are only 1% of the dreams that you have, even those dreams still hold the exact same message, interpreted as if they're you, just like you can use this language to interpret your life experiences. So that when you look around at your life, you can see the different, even though the person is someone else, you can still apply the same interpretation and see that everything is and apply it as everything is used. Within your regular dreams, the majority of your dreams, they are all going to be all the people and everything in your dreams are going to be aspects of your own consciousness. So you want to interpret it that way. Dreams are a reflection of the dreamer's consciousness the previous day or two. Your dreams are reflecting how you've been using your mind the last couple of days. So, as you've been using your mind during the day, at night, you're going into your mind and you're looking around at the thoughts within your mind. So, it's very recent. So, yes, we can interpret a dream from when you were 11. However, that doesn't really have any benefit or use to you today, except for maybe healing some sort of trauma or programming that originated then that is still lingering. So there is that benefit, but for the most part, you want to look at your dreams today because those are going to hold the most pertinent message to you related to where you're at right now. All right. So number 4, the more attention you give your dreams, the deeper your experience will become. What you put your attention on grows. So writing down your dreams is very important. Interpreting your dreams is very important. But the most important thing, and the rest is, useless without it, is applying that message into your life. And the better you are at doing all of these things, then the better you will be at experiencing your dreams. The more dreams you'll experience, the more dreams you'll have, the more vivid they will become, the deeper detail you will have. the more powerful and epic type dreams you will have. All right, the universal language of the mind is the language that our dreams are in. It's the language of images. A lot of this is some recap. Our mind communicates in images. Our thoughts are images. We just went over that. Write down the symbols as we go over today in the back of your dream journal to start your own glossary. And if you're new and haven't seen the other videos, go back and watch those. There's symbols within each of those. And well, not each of them. This is not the first one, but the second and third one, there's lots of symbols in those. Create your own journal or create your own glossary, create your own dream dictionary for you to reference back to. As dreams come up in your own dreams that you're writing down, and I'm going to detail exactly how to pull out the symbols and the different symbols. If there's a symbol that you've pulled out that you've dreamed today that you haven't dreamed in the past or you don't have in your glossary, add that to your glossary. You're going to slowly build your own dream dictionary. That way you don't have to rely on anyone else outside of yourself. You have it yourself, and it will amass to an amount that will surpass anything you could find anywhere anyways. All right. Like napkin. Show me a dream journal, or a dream dictionary or dream glossary that has napkin in it. Okay, so how to record your dreams real quick, brief rundown. If you want more detail, we go over this in week 2. So June 4th, yeah, that's when I made this in week 2 weeks ago. You'll want to write down tomorrow's date, having an expectation. You write down, I will remember my dreams, say that out loud. I will remember my dreams. Put your pen or pencil in your notebook, set it down right next to your bed or somewhere within reach so you don't have to get up to get it. When you wake up, draw a line down the middle right here, and then write down your dream. I was driving a car down the road and came to a red light. I didn't know where I was. Then I woke up. And that's what you write down on the left side, the dream. On the right side, well, first, before you get to the right side, you'll underline all of the actual images. Those are the symbols, the actual images. I was driving a car down the road and came to a red light. I didn't know where I was, then I woke up. I didn't know where I was. That's not a symbol, but that is something you want to keep in mind when you go to the interpretation. Car represents the physical body. So, like we talked about in week 2, language is a language of form and function. Car is the form. What is its function? It helps you, reach your goals. Well, how does that function then relate to the consciousness? The physical body is the vehicle that the consciousness uses to reach our goals in life. The road is the path that our conscious in life that our consciousness uses to reach our goals in life. So road represent life path. Red light indication I need to stop and wait. So as you're moving down the path in life right now, you're making progress, but you need to spend some time stopping, waiting, assessing where you're at, and assessing, making sure you know where you want to go and how to get there. I didn't know where I was. So assess where you are at right now in life. That's a real quick interpretation on the dream that I just made up. All right, now this is the structure of the mind. We went over that in week 1. I'm telling you guys, rewatch this video. We rewatch the week 1 video before each week that we come on here on these lives. I'm telling you, rewatch it every time. There will be more that you do not remember hearing. You'll pick up more. You'll have a deeper understanding of more, the more that you watch it. And so, as always, we dream, are in the subconscious mind, and we're going to go over all of this. One thing to remember that we went over in week 1 are the elements that are tied to each level. The emotional level is the earth element. The lower astral is the water element, less dense than earth. The upper astral is the fire element, less dense than water. And the mental level is the air element, which is less dense than fire. So these elements are key because it's going to help. We're going to be able to find those when we decode the movie Ad Astra later on. So we're here in the physical, in the 3rd dimension. Our physical body is using the conscious mind here in the 3rd dimension. Our soul is the 4th dimensional body that uses the subconscious mind to experience. These are all places to experience, which we learned about last week in the interpreting the creation story, the field of experience. All that we use the mind is we aren't our mind, we aren't these bodies, or the consciousness that uses them as tools to understand who we are through experience. Like I say all the time, the difference between believing something and knowing something is experience. I made a video earlier. The etymology of the word experience is Observation as your source of knowledge. So through observing what you experience here, you can have it is that is your source of knowing who you are, your true essence. The more you experience everything above this line right here, the more you know that you're more than just your physical body. And so, but remember those elements because we'll be interpreting that because Ad Astra is all about traveling and traversing astral projection deeper into the inner space. Outer space represents inner space. Any type of space movie, except if it's a space movie where they're just like not going very far, like Armageddon and all that, then they don't go very far. They just go right outside of Earth and on an asteroid. The Apollo movies, they just go to the moon. That's it. That one movie with Sandra Bullock, I think, they don't really go very far. But all the movies like Interstellar and all that, where they going deep, man, it's about the inner journey. So Ad Astra, so that's why we picked that one. I like that one more than uh, Interstellar because the message Interstellar is all about accessing the Akashic record, communicate with his former self. Anyways, we're not interpreting that one. So we went over this, and last week we opened up and touched on the fact. Oh my God. Last week we touched on the fact that the light I am is beyond the field of experience. Right? You have the conscious, subconscious, superconscious within the mind, these different bodies. But beyond that is the light of the Creator, the Most High, and your I am, your real self, your true self. This is your individual light of the Creator. Like we talked about in the last week, this was first created. There was darkness. It was void. This was all void. We did not have any experiences. So we did not know ourselves because we didn't have any experience. Like a baby being born, a baby doesn't know itself. As it grows up, it understands who it is, what it is. And as we get older, we, form some sense of identity. And as our ego forms and things, we have some sense of identity by experiencing, gaining experience. So our true selves, our consciousness, moves out into the superconscious, subconscious, and conscious to experience life over and over through hundreds of lifetimes to then know who we truly are. That's why it's the I am. It's in every holy scripture from the Bible to the Bhagavad Gita to all of them. So I am this, I am that. We're looking for the source of our identity or the identity of our source. All right. So numbers in dreams. We go over symbols every single time. So like I said, write this down. If you don't have your dream journal yet, then just write it down somewhere else. It'll be available. So you don't necessarily have to write it down, but be ready to put it inside your dream journal. Numbers are key. Now, this is not numerology in what a lot of people teach. This is the universal language of the mind. Me, I don't really get into numerology because I want to know what the mind is telling me through these numbers. I find it to be 100% accurate every time. But that's just me. If you want to, if you learn numerology, you want to keep going with that, keep going with that. But anytime you're dealing with your dreams, definitely look at these numbers because these numbers, dreams are about, like I said, they're your dreams are you're experiencing your inner thoughts. So numbers are a sequence of a thought moving to fruition. So the number one represents individuality, one, oneness. The number two, duality, the inner and the outer. There's now two sides of every coin, the left and the right, but it's all still one. You have one body. Your one body can be split into two sides, the left and the right. How do where do you delineate the left from the right? So it's still all one. Okay, the number three, creation. The father, a mother, and a child. Number three represents creation. Number four, stability, inner stability. The chair has four legs, the table has four legs because that's why we sit on them, because they are stable. They provide stability. It's four legs. Number five, reasoning. That's the power of the conscious mind. Like we went over week one. Power of the conscious mind is reasoning. Three keys of reasoning, like we went over, is memory, attention, and imagination. Memory to understand the past, attention to understand the present moment, and imagination to understand the future. Number six, like we went over week one, intuition. That's the power of the subconscious mind, which is built on reasoning. Intuition, that's your direct grasp of truth. Understanding something without having any reason to understand it and know it. You know it to be true. That's why you can always follow your intuition. You can always trust your subconscious mind. The only difficult part is identifying when it's an intuitive thought and when it's a conscious thought. All right, number 7, visualization. I say visualization is creative imagery, creating an image in your mind, but visualization. Number 8, self-value. 8 is all about value, self-value. Number 9, completion, fully fulfilling a whole cycle. So then you get back to 0 represents power because like from 9 to 10, if we are able to, we got here. We are able to, put a number 1 right here, make that a 10. With numbers, you always want to deduce down to the one number. So 1, 0. So it still represents a 1. So we're all the way back to individuality, but it's on a higher level. Like if I draw a circle, going all the way back around. We started here and now we're ending here. Really, it's like a spiral upward. We started here, came all the way back around 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So this is we're on a whole nother level up higher. But if we looked at this from up above, it would look like this over here. So we came back around, but it's on a higher level. So for example, individuality. As a child growing up, you begin to understand individuality, who you are as an individual within this group of immediate family. But then as you go to school, you're on 10. A whole nother level of individuality and learning what that means amongst a group of people that are not related to you. And then after you graduate school, it's like 100 over here. Another whole nother level of individuality, who you are as a person out into the world, all its possibilities. So you're still learning about individuality, but it's on a whole nother level. And if you don't fully learn any of those lessons with the 1, then you're gonna kind of um, have the same lessons when you go to school. You don't learn those proper individual lessons. Family. If you don't do that, then out in life, you're going to come across the same kind of experiences. Life is as you needed to learn in school. All right. I would go through a lot more through all of this, but we have a lot to go. It's like 20 slides on ASTRA. So speaking of ASTRA, here we are. So the etymology of the word ad astra, just breaking down the title. Ad, the etymology of the word ad means to or near. Astra means astral, means spiritual. Another word for the upper astral and lower astral is upper spiritual and lower spiritual. So be getting closer and nearer to your astral self, your non-physical self. Even another the true etymology is astral, but a not as old meaning for the word is also stars. If you look, astra is just a reformation of the word star with an extra A. But stars represent, are in outer space, and outer space represents the inner space. And we're using this language to decode the movie. So everything in here is going to be as if we're interpreting a dream. So all of this is designed. Yeah, it's going to be really cool to see this message. But remember, all of this is designed to help you to understand the language. We interpreted some dreams in week 2. We interpreted some holy scriptures in week 3. Now we're going to interpret a movie in week 4 in order for you to identify better and better understand this language. All right. So the title of the movie is showing you that the movie is all about how to get closer to your inner self. Interstellar, the inner star system, the inner space. So the synopsis. Here's the synopsis of the whole movie. The movie is laying out the journey of the initiate moving into the adept. The initiates and the adept, these are, ancient knowledge terms from, secret society school, not secret, mystical schools, secret schools. They had to be in secret in the past because, if I went around talking about Kundalini, I mean, people, some of these Christians and things, they lose their minds over the comments on my videos, and it's just what they're taught. But if you were in, especially during like the Spanish Inquisition and stuff, talking about the stuff I'm talking about, yeah, they'd be seeking me out, hunt me down, got a reward for my head. So it had to be in secret. But these are the terms that they use then. Initiate. Nowadays, you would call it like nowadays you would call it someone going through an awakening. You know what I mean? Someone who's woke. But not necessarily, because there's a lot of people who out here right now who are like going through an awakening, who are going through an awakening and things, but they're not really putting any effort into it. It's just kind of sounding fun. It's a trend right now. So, not everybody who's talking about awakening or being woke or anything is an actual initiate. One who is just initiating or starting the journey of self-awareness, soul growth, and spiritual development. You got to put in the work. Nobody can do it for you. Watching videos ain't going to do it. Reading books ain't going to do it. Watching this entire course 20 times over ain't going to do it. You have to implement that information to create an experience, to turn the information into knowledge. You're going to hear I'm real big on knowledge because otherwise you're just stuck with belief and having to believe somebody. All right. So it's the journey of going from an initiate, moving into the adept. What is an adept? An adept is someone who is adept or completely skilled at the steps of this journey of self-awareness, soul growth, and spiritual development. How do you create skills? Through experience. You know what I mean? Malcolm Gladwell talks about 10,000 hours is what it takes to reach a level of mastery. So putting 10,000 hours worth of practical metaphysics, applying metaphysics into your life, essentially you should be at some point, some level of mastery. That's what the mentorship program is all about. It's teaching others to become metaphysical masters themselves. Like if you anybody who already is a mentee knows, one of the first things I tell you, if you're still a mentee a year from now, man, we fail. But you have to put in the work. Either I failed you or you failed yourself by not putting in the effort. All right. So starting out, we have a character, Major McBride. He's a rank major because it indicates that this journey and who he is a major part of the identity. Everybody in the movie, almost everybody, except for his dad. His dad calls him Roy. Everybody else calls him Major. The Pruitt, who we'll find out is the ego, he also calls him Roy. But other than those two, everybody else calls him Major. McBride, a bride is getting married. Marriage is all about commitment. Remember, like we said, everything in a dream is an aspect of yourself. So it's about self-commitment, being committed to the self. So if you want to become an initiate, you have to be someone who is committed to yourself. Remember, I say, very first thing, initiate is starting the journey of self-awareness. You have to be committed to yourself in order to make this journey. And that commitment to the self has to be a major part of your identity, a major part of who you are. Everybody that knows me, man, they know what I'm about. They know the metaphysics is entering the building. I mean, whatever we talking about, politics, I'm gonna make it about metaphysics. We talking about sports, I'm gonna make it about metaphysics. Bring some sort of a metaphysical approach to whatever conversation I'm a part of. I mean, not always, people know. Universal Language of Mind at ASTRA opening dialogue is portraying the mind state of the initiate. Now, if you watch this movie, which I hope you have, you will see that there's a lot of narration in this movie, and the narration is not just thrown in there willy nilly. It is for a purpose. Now, there's the opening dialogue and there's the ending dialogue, and they are very similar. Look, he talks about I am calm, steady, I slept well, 8.2 hours, no bad dreams. Let's go to the very end. Final monologue, the mind state of the adept. I am steady, calm, I slept well, no bad dreams. Notice there aren't any numbers on how long he slept. There are numbers in the beginning. That's very purposeful. What are those numbers? Like I said, you add the numbers up so you get down to one digit. 8.2 hours. 8 plus 2 is 10. 10 equals a new level of learning individuality. So he's about to, the whole journey is about traversing within. You've lived a whole life, you know who you are, but now as you go within and discover your soul and your spirit and your real self, your true self, that's a whole new level of learning of who you are as an individual. That's what this is all about. This is the mind state of that you have to be in to be an initiate. You have to be someone who's calm, who's steady. You're sleeping well. I mean, you're ready for the new journey of individuality. No bad dreams. If you're someone who's watched any of my TikTok videos, you probably saw a lot of astral projection videos, because when I've made one video, I had a billion questions. People talking about demons, and it's going to open up your demons. Some people said demons are waiting for you. Some people said it's going to open up access to demons and all this other stuff. That's because if you aren't someone who has taken care of your own demons, your own inner demons, if you haven't worked with your dreams enough to where you do not have any nightmares. I mean, I used to have nightmares, night terrors, bad, bad. Like, I'm talking being a grown man, 25 years old, 24 years old, and I have a night terror so bad I don't go back to sleep. I stay up the rest of the night. I go to work the next day. I get off work, I go play basketball, do whatever I do, and then don't go to sleep again the next night because I'm so terrified of what might be waiting for us. And I do that every day until my body cannot take it anymore, and I just naturally have to fall. I have no choice but to fall asleep. I mean, that type of level of night terrors and nightmares I used to have. Once I started writing down my dreams, that was at the same time that I started learning how to interpret dreams. So I was started writing down my dreams, I started interpreting my dreams, I started applying the message all at the same time. From the very first day that I have done that, I have never had a nightmare. Now, I have had similar things come up that used to be nightmares, but it was no the feeling and the scaredness and the fear was no longer there. The Now I did do quite a bit of like meditating and different things and energy exercises and practices and disciplines and breathing exercises and disciplines and things before I started working with dreams like this. So I did have kind of a little bit of leg up, but working with your dreams like this, writing them down every night, interpreting them, and applying the message into your life will eliminate nightmares. You will have no bad dreams. That is the type of person you need to be in order to start going within. I am ready to go. See what I'm saying? He's calm, steady, slept well. He or she, this person, the initiate, is calm, steady, slept well, ready to face the new lesson of who they are as an individual, does not have bad dreams. They have a good relationship with the subconscious mind. When they go within, there's not going to be anything waiting for them that they haven't faced yet. They are ready to go, ready to do my job to the best of my abilities. I've cultivated a certain level of abilities, and I'm going to progress forward with the best of concentration, willpower, visualization, breath work. I have, memory. I've cultivated and strengthened these mental tools, these abilities. I'm ready to go. I'm focused only on the essential to the exclusion of all else. Now, not many people are like me, but anybody from Cincinnati that used to know me, they will tell you there was a point in time when I first started this journey where there literally was nothing else that mattered. I no longer watch TV. I no longer listen to music, at least any lower vibrational music. I no longer, I mean, there was a point where I was only eating raw alkaline foods. Like, I mean, I wasn't not eating meat because there's some spiritual thing and didn't want to do this to animals or anything. I mean, whatever you not want to do to animals, you're still doing to plants. But, if you don't want to eat plants, you're just a breatharian, you're still doing the same to the gases. But anyways, it was because it was what it was doing to my body. I wanted only alkaline foods, and I also read up on how you lose like 60-70% of the nutrients in foods when you cook them. So I believe that, and not saying that that's not true or anything, but at the time I believed that and went with it. So I just ate raw foods. So I was to the extreme. I'm a Taurus. I take things to the extreme. So I was very extreme. But everywhere I went, I was either practicing some sort of metaphysical practice, or I was reading a book, or I was watching some sort of video. Like, I'd be a double at work and only have 30 minutes to get off and eat my food. I'd be sitting there for the 30 minutes. I'd be walking around getting my food together and eating my food while all reading this book. You know what I mean? The Book of Secrets, still my favorite book to this day by Osho, The Book of Secrets. Best book you can. Anyways, I was focused on the essential to the exclusion of all else. Now you don't have to be that extreme, but don't allow yourself to be distracted. You know what I mean? Don't be, you know, playing 10 hours of video games all day. You know what I mean? Scrolling on TikTok and Facebook and Instagram, all day long. You know, this has to be primary in order for you to go from an initiate to an adept. I will only make pragmatic decisions. That means I have a strong level of reasoning. The power of the conscious mind is reasoning. So I will only make pragmatic decisions. I will not allow myself to be distracted. I have a level of concentration. I will not allow my mind to linger on that which is unimportant. I have a strong level of willpower. So concentration and willpower are right here. I will, willpower, I will, willpower, I will, willpower. I will not rely on anyone or anything. I'll be independent. I will not be vulnerable to mistakes because mistakes are a matter of non-learning. You know what I mean? If you made a mistake, that just means you haven't learned it. If you made a mistake and learned from it, it wasn't a mistake. It was a blessing. Be grateful for it. Resting BPM 47. Submit. BPM, it's all about your heart rate. This number is significant for what is at the heart of the matter, which is 47. 4 plus 7 is 11. 11, again, is a level of mastery over, oh, wait, not again, it's the first time. You'll notice 11 comes up in this movie at least 8, 9 times. And so I don't count them up and go over it in here. But if you watch the movie, you probably saw the number 11. I mean, maybe not entirely because it wasn't directly like this. Resting BPM 47. For me, someone who pays attention to this from interpreting so many dreams and having so many dreams, I'll interpret my dream while I'm in a dream. And I noticed the number right away. 47 is a big one. 56 is a big for 11. 58, 13. I would pay attention to 13 too. 11 represents a level of mastery over the inner and the outer. 12 represents the 12 major aspects of the self. And 13 is the most powerful number in the universe, I say, because it is the level of mastery over those 12 major aspects of the self. But anyways, that's not what this is about. This is about 11, the level of mastery over the inner and the outer. See, this is duality. Let's go back real quick. Duality, the inner subconscious and the outer conscious mind. Duality, the outer field of experience and the inner field of experience. The movie's all about unifying and aligning the conscious and subconscious minds, aligning the two of those so that they can move as one, and then you can then attune them to the superconscious mind. So the movie's all about. Right. Erase these annotations. That's what's at the heart of the matter here. Resting BPM. Last word, submit. Not submit to anyone outside of yourself, but submit to your inner self. Submit to the will of your real self. Submit to the will of your superconscious mind, like we talked about in week 1. The purpose of the superconscious mind is to hold the blueprint for your existence, your soul purpose. If you don't know what your soul purpose is, connect and commune with your superconscious mind. It's there waiting to tell you and share with you. It has the blueprint. Like I said before, if you're an electrician and you're running wires in a building that you're building, and all of a sudden you come into a room and the plumber's got his pipes there, and you're like, well, wait a second, I thought my wires were supposed to go there. I kind of had a read on where I was going here, but I don't remember now. I need to figure out what I'm doing here. Why am I here? What am I doing? Where am I going with these wires? So that happens to us in life. We feel like we have a read on where we're supposed to be going, what we're supposed to be doing. Then all of a sudden things happen, and we're like, wait, I thought I made the right choices. How did I get here? What am I really doing here? Where am I going in life? So you have to check with the blueprint. Okay. Oh, okay. I checked the blueprint. Oh, that's why I'm over there. I need to go this way with things. So that blueprint is held in superconscious mind, which is one of the benefits of getting there. So you have to submit to the will of your inner self, the will of your superconscious mind. Superconscious mind, it has the blueprint. It's not going to lead you the wrong way. If you have a dream where your grandma's driving or your grandpa's driving or your mom's driving, that means that you are submitting to the will of the superconscious mind. You're allowing it to be the driver in determining where you're going in life. A lot of people have that dream. All right, so here's more inner dialogue. why, and this is one of the scenes that show up. This is the door into the to go outside in the antenna. The number 7 here. We'll get to that. But he's still talking. That inner I always wanted to be an astronaut for the future of mankind and all. At least that's what I always told myself. I see myself from the outside, smile, present a side. It's a performance with an eye on the exit, always on the exit. Just don't touch me. Okay, so we're talking about going and journeying within. We're talking about shifting our consciousness from the physical body into the astral body and going within the self. So I always wanted to be an astronaut. I mean, that's part of that purpose. I have for always is about time. For some time now, time in a dream is all about evolution of consciousness. It's not, you know, uh, time in a dream is not linear like a timeline, like we talked about last week. It's vertical. This is 10 years. 20, you got a question, anybody? 30 years, 40 years. If you got a question, feel free to interrupt me. Let me know. Level 1, level 2, level 3. Oh shit, these are terrible numbers. Level 4. So like I said before, 0, the number 0 represents power. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 10 brings you back to 1, but it's of a higher level. So it's like, you have this level, this level, this level. Someone can, be growing and they're 10 years old at one level, they get to be 20 years old, and then they don't learn anymore in life. They still age, but now they're 40 and still acting like they're 16. Or we all know somebody who, like me, when I was 24, from 24 to 35, I, took off. 24 to 37 right now, took off, you know. So time is all about the evolution of your consciousness, the elevation, how high your consciousness is becoming, raising your consciousness is what time is all about. So he says here, I always wanted to be an astronaut. So for some time, there has been a focus on journeying within, going within, and being one who knows the self for the future of mankind. Like I said, interpreting this like we interpret dreams. In dreams, every person, place, or thing is an aspect of your own consciousness. So all of mankind is all about your whole self. I mean, everything that you are for the future of it. In order for you're wanting to go within for some time now for the elevation of your own consciousness as a whole. At least that's what I always told myself. Speaking something, invoking it. When you talk, you create a vibration. Maybe we all go, everybody just hum at home real quick. See what part of your chest or your abdomen you feel that in, or your brain, in your head. You know, I mean, AUN is the word of creation. I mean, the reason it's the word of creation is if you go you'll feel the vibration at the base of your spine. Ooh, you'll feel it in the middle of your chest, middle spine, right there. You'll feel it at the pituitary gland where the spine and the brain, just above where the spine and the brain meet. So if you transition those, the vibration will start at the base of your spine, moving up your spine into the crown of your head, to the brain. That will be stimulating your kundalini energy. Now, I'm not encouraging anyone to do this. I'm just letting the secrets to the knowledge that's out there. That is the word of creation, because your kundalini is your most powerful creative energy. So chanting that before your meditation will be powerful for you. Your manifestations will be more powerful. That is why concentration is important. Willpower is important. So that you can determine that the thoughts that you think throughout the day, if you come across a negative thought, you can realize that's a distraction, remove your attention to it, or remove your attention from it, place your attention on a thought you do want to manifest. And so you're more giving more energy towards the things you do want to manifest, towards positive and productive thoughts, not negative thoughts that are associated with negative beliefs and personal limitations and things like that are going to manifest things that you don't want, unconscious manifestations. So, concentration is important if you start doing something like that. But the invocation is what is important. That's what I'm trying to convey here. The importance of invoking something. Speaking it out into existence. It's very real. I'm sure a lot of us have heard that. Speaking it into existence, very real. The words you use are very real. When you speak words, yes, they create a vibration, but what feels that vibration the most? What is impacted the most by that vibration? Your body, not anybody else. Your body. If you cussing somebody out and spewing at them all these curse words, what is the thing that is cursed the worst? Your body. So I always told myself, I see myself from the outside. Now, a lot of what this is visual imagery because for a long time, and well, the majority of people that teach or have learned astral projection or lucid dreaming, going within, shifting the consciousness to the astral body and going within, traversing the inner levels, the majority of it is taught through using the visual sense to make that shift. Now, I suggest, and I've discovered that and have been taught that the most powerful way and the most effective way is to feel the way through it. There's a little bit of that in here, but it's much more prevalent to feel your way. Now, you want to use your image to know what to feel. Like there's a rope technique. Visualizing a rope falling from the ceiling, grabbing onto the rope and really feeling it as you pull yourself out of your body. That's the rope technique. So there is a visual aspect to it. You also real the feeling is the activator, but it's using your inner senses because you are where your attention is. So the more you give attention to your inner senses, the more you're going to be there. That's why it says right here, I see myself from my outside. Smile, present a side. So pick a side. If you're doing this while you're laying in your bed, or if you're doing it from when you're sitting on a couch, pick a side. Are you going to visualize yourself from the front? Are you going to visualize yourself from the side? Smile when you're doing it and see yourself smile. I mean, I don't suggest that part, but some people do it and it works for them. So you might be one of those people that's how it works for you because everybody's different. So there's lots of different techniques for the right person, the right kind of mind, the right kind of personality. Something else might work. So yeah, maybe try smiling and then see yourself smile. So give yourself an objective perspective. See yourself sitting there. It's a performance. It's an act. This physical body is all an act. You know what I mean? We're only in here for a moment. Don't take things so serious. We're only here for a while. Then we're gone and we come back as a different character. But just like people who are actors, when they're in front of the camera, they convey and portray a role and then they step out of character. That's why that line, it's a performance, is here. It's just like you're stepping out of character, step out of your own body, same way. So watch with my eye on the exit. So eye, perspective, being able to see, visualize the exit, always on the exit, leaving the body. Just don't touch me. That means, when you first shift, and anyone who's experienced this knows, there is a projected body double. So when you're standing there looking back at yourself, you're aware of that you're in your astral body, looking at your physical body, but you also have awareness within your physical body. Now it's hard to explain and it's hard to conceive unless you've actually experienced it. It's like imagine being like if you're a set of twins, imagine those two twins are just one person living life and experiencing life through the two different bodies. That's what it's like. I mean, it's so weird. I don't know. It's hard to explain because there's nothing else like it. But you will know that. And so with that, if you want to remain in your astral body and moving forward, like I said, you are where your attention is. Keep your attention on the astral body. The more attention that you give to the physical body, the more attention with the more emotional you get, more excited you become, the more it's going to bring you to the physical body. So the more attention you have on the physical body, the more you're going to be drawn right back into the physical body. And then you'll have to start all over. So that's what the just don't touch me means. So this is where he first goes in the movie. If you watch the movie at Astra, this part of the scene when he's saying all of this is when he first goes into outer space. Not too deep. He's just on this antenna at the very top of this antenna. But I mean, the antenna is still in outer space because it's so fucking tall. So he goes through the door, the exit, because doorways represent like we talked about. I think it was week one and week last week. These are the 7 levels of the mind, right? So if we're going to from the physical to the emotional, every single one of these lines here, the dashed ones and the solid ones, there's a door that you're able to walk through. And there's a key to that door. This first part of this movie is all about the key to through this door right here. I mean, so here he goes in the movie, walking through the door. Every single time he's going to walk through the door. Every single time he goes between one of these, he's going through some sort of door or hallway or getting into another vehicle. Right? So here's the door, and on the door is the number 7. Why? Because 7 equals creative imagery, visualization. Like we already talked about. We already went over that. 7 represents visualization. You have to visualize this, see it, use your inner sense to see it. Like that's what I pretty much just explained right here. All right. Now the fall from the antenna. So in the movie, he goes outside the antenna. Antenna is all about, receiving the thoughts of the subconscious and superconscious, inner communication, communication with the self. What other part of the self other than the conscious physical mind, the physical self and the conscious mind, what else is there receiving information from? Communication from soul and the spirit, superconscious and subconscious. So, so going on with the antenna, and he's out there fixing it. Then there's a power surge. Now, later on, we find out the power surge is coming from deep within space. Like we said, outer space in movies and in dreams, outer space represents the inner space. So if it's coming from deep, it's coming from superconscious mind. Like we talked about week 2 or week 1. Week 1, superconscious mind. What is the duty of the superconscious mind? To provide life force energy to the soul and physical body. So shooting out energy out here. Anything with the word spire has to do with energy, has to do with the breath, the energy that the breath provides. Spirare, spirit, comes from the word spirare, or spirare comes from the word spiritus, sorry, which means breath. It's all having to do with the energy coming from the superconscious mind. So we later on find out that it's also coming from the father. So like last like last time, what I talked about, the duty of the mind is all about the masculine, and the purpose is all about the receptive. So if like I was saying earlier, the blueprint, holding the purpose of the superconscious mind is to hold that blueprint for your life, for your soul purpose. That is receptive. The story of the electrician looking for where it's going to put the electric lines. The foreman isn't bringing the blueprint to the electrician. I mean, the blueprint is just sitting on the table, ready to receive the attention of anyone who goes to look at it. So it's receptive. Women are naturally receptive. Men are naturally more aggressive. So, like we talked about before, parents are your authority in life. Teachers are your authority in life. Bosses are your authority in life. Anytime a teacher, boss, or parent, or a doctor, or a priest, or something like that shows up in a dream, it's representing your superconscious mind, your inner authority, your spirit, which is the fifth dimensional body that uses the superconscious mind. Now, if it shows up as a man, then it's talking about the duty of the superconscious mind, the aggressive aspect. It's talking about a woman, if it's mom, grandma, if your boss is a woman, if your doctor's a woman, if your priest is a woman. It's about the purpose, the blueprints for your existence. This is all about the dad. We later find that out. So, of course, it's about the surge of energy. All right, it's so funny to me how this stuff is here. I mean, even I've watched this movie like 8 times. When it first came out, and as soon as this moment happened, because at first I was like, oh, okay, they on something. But as soon as this moment happened, a surge of energy, and then it turned out it was his father from deep within space, Neptune. I got up out my chair, I started laughing. It was hilarious. Anyways, an explosion, expansion of consciousness. So when you very first, because this is the very beginning, he just now is going into outer space, not very deep, just a little bit. When you have this experience of experiencing and knowing yourself beyond your body, if you're someone who's just all in the physical all the time, you're always in your conscious mind, and then all of a sudden you have an out of body experience. That's pretty much what's happening in this movie right now. He's having his first out of body experience, an awareness that you are more than your physical body. Boom, that's gonna blow your mind. I mean, there's a reason that term, the universal language of mind is in the idioms of our language all the time. Blow your mind. An explosion represents an expansion of consciousness, expansion of awareness. your awareness is just expanded. Your awareness of self is just expanded. You know what I mean? When you I understand that you're more than just your body is awareness of self, and you're gonna transform. You're gonna change from that. You know, his partner, his little, teammate died. You never even see the guy. You just, all of a sudden he's like his coworker, and you just watch him die all of a sudden. It's gonna evident the evidence of reflecting that when you have this experience, this out of your first out of body experience, awareness of yourself outside of your body is going to expand your mind. You're going to transform. You're going to change. And then falling represents coming back to the physical. So the whole time he's falling, he says, "I'm trying to keep the tumble down so I don't black out." Like I say, whenever you are astrally projecting and first starting out, don't go anywhere. You know what I mean? Just look around the room and come back in, pop back in. Because if you don't remain calm and centered, one, you're going to shoot back to your body if you get excited. But if you are gone too long and you lose awareness, you're not aware of the moment when you're re-entering your body, and you lose awareness at some point between when you're gone and when you come back, you're going to lose the memory of the entire experience. You can be gone 8 hours. You can remember the whole thing. You can be like, "Oh my God, I went and looked at my past lives. I went and watched 3 different past lives. I went to the Akashic Records and I discovered this. I went and met with some master teachers, and they taught me these keys to that I need right here." And then you turn back around and come back, and on the way back, you lose consciousness. You go unconscious and kind of become aware, and it pretty much turns into a dream. If that happens, you could be aware of everything that you just did. You could have consciously caused it all to happen, and then in the moment you lose awareness, you'll forget the whole entire thing. You could have went and got some key master lessons from master teachers within, or checked with this, you know, anything, all type of stuff. You lose that awareness, man. You forget the whole thing. That's why I say start out a little bit, do a little bit, and come right back. You don't want to lose the memory of the experience. Then write it down, document it, document your success, then slowly work on going further and further out. Like a kid growing up, you know what I mean? Kids allowed not a a baby ain't allowed out of the sight of the mom. After a while, though, okay, it can be on its own, within the room, within the house, you know. Okay, after a while, you can go out into the yard without me being there. Okay, after a while, going, you can go over to a friend's house. Okay, you can spend the night at a friend's house. Okay, you're old enough to live on your own. You know what I mean? So,
Excuse me?
yeah, yeah, yeah. Go ahead.
How do you make it constant where you can always do this?
Practice,
Right?
practice, growth. Yes, practice. That's what I was explaining. Slowly start out with just really small. And then as you practice, as you get better, go into the other room, go into the next room, and come back. I mean, after about 4 or 5 times of just looking at your body and coming back in, then explore the room a little bit. Maybe 1 or 2 times just going out and come back in. 1 or 2 times of exploring the room.
Do you have
Then,
like a mindset or like a routine you do to try and astral project?
yeah, yeah. I mean, there's a whole game plan. I mean, I can get into all of that, another time, but I can't really go because there's a lot more slides. There's like 20 more slides.
Okay.
But as far as like what that routine is, yeah, you definitely want to have a routine because there is a technique to it, and um there's certain, like, not really like gateways, but like checkpoints. Yeah, that's the word. There's certain checkpoints to get past. So, it does take a strong level of concentration and willpower to do. That's why I harp on it so much because it's so vital, especially the concentration. I mean, like getting out, the concentration and willpower is vital, but I mean, you might as well, when you actually do get out, if you don't have the concentration and willpower, but you somehow do get out, it's like driving without a steering wheel because you are where your attention is. So wherever you put your attention, that's where you're going. So if you don't have that level of concentration, as soon as you get out, you can get all excited. Oh, I'm gone, and then completely forget you were supposed to stay in the room, and then you forget the experience. You know what I mean? Or you start to get scared, so you are where your attention is. Places and dreams represent your state of mind. So if you're calm, in a calm state of mind, and you go within, but as soon as you get it within, you get scared. You're in a scared state of mind, so you're going to go to a place that scares you. So it's very important to have concentration and things. But yeah, there's a certain technique that you would want to go through to get past these checkpoints. But the key is to just remain calm, remain still, until you're out. So I like to focus on my breath. That helps me to remain calm and it helps me to remain awake. Because sometimes you just fall asleep and wake up in a dream later, you're lucid but already gone, or not wake up at all until you wake up in the morning. All right. So after this whole thing, he comes back to his body because falling is all about going back to your body. You're wherever you're dreaming at. If you're falling, you're coming to lower levels of awareness, lower levels of consciousness until you get back to the physical body. That's what the falling was. He left out of the body a little bit and then came right back. Not like that. Like this. All right. So in the briefing, after that happens, they get Major McBride in a briefing with the generals, and how's that not on here? I thought I put that on here. Huh. Okay, I guess I didn't put it on there. But with the generals, they all have different stars, 2 stars, 4 stars, but they're all 5 stars. The star itself is 5 point. It's a 5 pointed star. It represents the level of mastery over the 5 senses, utilizing the 5 senses in order to go deeper. That's what that represents. Mastery of the conscious mind. Uh, number 5 representing reasoning. Anyways, they tell him that the energy surge is coming from his father. So like we were just talking about, the aggressive action of the superconscious mind, the part feeding life force energy to the rest of the self. Anytime you feel inspired, it's that energy of the superconscious mind filling your body to give you the energy you need to fulfill the blueprint. Because whatever you're feeling inspired about, that's a good indicator that you're supposed to do that to follow your soul's purpose. I mean, when you're getting inspired about something, yeah, go and fulfill that. And in order to fulfill that, you're getting a surge of energy from your superconscious mind to be inspired to do this. So that's what happens in the movie. That inspiration comes, which gives him the surge of energy to go deeper within and connect with the self. Because, like we said, the mindset of the initiate is to go deeper. Always wanted to be an astronaut. I always wanted to connect with myself. I always wanted to unify my mind for the expansion of consciousness. Okay, and Neptune, his dad is on Neptune. Now, like we talked about before last week, the firmament here, the firmament being the structure of the mind, and the Bible talks about the upper waters and the lower waters. Water represents life experience. You can experience life down here below the firmament. That's where most of us are experiencing it. And then you have the upper waters, the experience up here. That's why the Neptune is so far out, so deep within space. Neptune is the Roman god of the sea. That's why they put him on Neptune. His dad. The superconscious mind are the upper waters and the lower waters. Life experience above the firmament. All right, and then the very first place he has to go is to the moon. They say, all right, go to the moon, and then from there you'll take a rocket to go deeper into space. Moon represents superconscious awareness. In here, they're using it to most specifically reflect the emotional level. Every time he's on, because that's the very first thing you experience. So just like in space, when you first go out, the very first planet you come across is the moon. So that's kind of why they're using that. Then Colonel Pruitt right here. Colonel Pruitt is going to represent the ego, the identity. That's why he's always telling him stories about, him and his dad and where he came from and mindset, when he was a kid and all that, pretty much laying out his identity. In the movie, he's kind of given a little backstory to who Major McBride is, but that's because he's giving him his identity. But your ego, which is your identity, it's your motivating force. Now, in a lot of movies, when you get carried away and you let the ego lead the way, that's when it's like a super ego, and it's kind of quote unquote a bad thing that people talk about. So in most movies, the ego is usually depicted by something bad, like Jafar in Aladdin is the ego. Agent Smith in the Matrix, representing the ego. And so, but in this one, it's more because this story is all about the initiate becoming the adept, someone who's doing the right things, living going about life in the right way in order to increase their own self-awareness through their soul growth and spiritual development. So that's someone who has a healthy relationship with the ego. So he has a very healthy relationship with this man throughout the whole movie. There isn't anything bad about him. He isn't secretly trying to, take control, which is what most of the ego representation in movies is doing. They're wanting to secretly take control because the ego is, wanting to take control. But once it realizes that, you're in control and you command it to be behind you, pushing you forward, then it will be your motivating force, pushing you forward, telling you, giving you the momentum to keep going. Like in the Bible, the devil represents the ego. Jesus was sitting there, fasting and praying for 40 days or whatever. And the devil comes and tempts him, says, "Hey, do this thing, do this thing. You don't have to do this." Well, I mean, why didn't Jesus just destroy the devil right there? Why didn't he at least tell him to leave? He didn't even tell him to leave. He just said, get behind me, Satan." That's because that's where the ego belongs. The ego belongs behind you. You need to be out front leading the way, and the ego is supposed to be behind you, pushing you forward. He says you're going to be monitored constantly. Your mental, this is before they leave anywhere. So they've already left out once, and now they're going for a bigger journey deep within the mind to connect with the superconscious mind. It says you're going to be monitored constantly, your mental state, your emotional state. You have a direct connection with your subject, because he asks him, he starts asking him questions like, "How do you feel?" He's like, "Is this a psych eval?" He's like, "No, but yes, you're going to be monitored constantly. Your mental state, your emotional state, the whole entire time, your journey within. Your mental state is very important. Like I said, whatever your state of mind is, that's where you're going to be going. So if you want to go up here, you have to remain focused upon that. They point that out later in the movie. If you get distracted and you go way off over, thinking about, getting scared and oh man, I'm opening myself up to demons, that's what people have been saying to me. You get to focus in on that, then that's where that's your mind state in fear. You're going to go over there. Like I said earlier, about going and watching Green Lantern. That's a 100% training video for astral projection. What's the number one enemy there? Fear. So if you get involved in fear, that's where you're going to go. Your mind state, you're constantly monitor of your mental state. That determines where you're going to go. Your emotional state, because you have to remain calm. Because look, if we go through the physical and go deeper past the emotional into the astral realm, don't even worry about going anywhere up here. And we get excited. That's why, like, when people have a lucid dream, they get excited. Well, that excitement is an emotion. That emotion pulls you back to the emotional level. Well, if you have some momentum going down, once you get to the emotional level, you're just going to be magnetically pulled back to your body, boom, and you're going to wake up. That's why your emotional state is important, because if you get carried away with your emotions, you're going to wake up and leave. And then, you're in the middle of something and now you're not. And you have a direct connection with the subject, meaning through your breath. Breath is important because the breath is your direct connection to the superconscious mind. Like we said last week with the creation story, it said the face of God is across, or the breath of God is across the face of the waters, meaning your breath is your connection to the Most High, connecting the soul to the body, the spirit to the body, the superconscious, subconscious, conscious minds, unifying all of those. So the dialogue portraying the mind state prior to traveling within. So before they get on the rocket, he starts, talking and doing this monologue and narration again. He says, "So many times in my life, I've screwed up. I've talked when I should have listened. I have been harsh when I should have been tender. I made a promise to always be truthful. I've been trying to compartmentalize. It seems to me that that's how I approach my life. Resting BPM is 56. So earlier, it was what, 74? Oh, no, it was still 56. Uh, no, 47, not 74. I knew that was too high. Resting BPM 47. Now it's 56, but it's still 11. The heart of the matter is still 11. Didn't sleep much last night, but it shouldn't be a problem. I remain mission ready. So this first part is talking about, I talked when I should have listened. You need to be receptive, listen, and relax. I've been harsh when I should have been tender. Relax. This is not a time to be talking. This is a time to be listening, going within and listening. This is not a time to be, tense and doing things actively. This is time to relax. It's time to be honest with yourself, because when you go within, there ain't nothing to hide. There's nowhere to hide. So I've been trying to be compartmentalize. Keep your mind organized, not be scattered in your thoughts. Be very direct. Be very organized with your mind. That's how you have to approach things when you're going within. The heart of the matter is still 11, which is a level of mastery over the inner and the outer duality. Because 1 plus 1 equals 2. 11 is a master number, meaning there's some mastery there over the two, the duality. So didn't sleep much last night, but it shouldn't be a problem. Sleep is all about assimilation. I haven't really assimilated my recent life experiences too much, but that shouldn't be a problem because we're about to go in and we can assimilate them from within instead of without. Instead of assimilating what's going on in my life while I'm awake, I can do it while I'm inside looking at the thoughts in my mind. I remain mission ready. I'm still focused on what we're here to do. So that's the mind state of the initiate before actually going within, being calm and relaxed, keeping the thoughts organized, remaining true to what's at the heart of the matter, and keeping my eye on the mission. Then he gets into another vehicle. Vehicle represents a body. He's getting into the astral body. Right before he goes in, the lady asks him, she asks him, "How do you feel?" He says, "Yeah, it feels all right." And then she says, "Breathe." Your breath ties your soul to the body. So your breath is the way out. So put your attention on your breath and feel your way out. Don't just see your way out, but feel your way out. So meaning, one thing to do when you are doing this, like I said earlier, it said sit there and see, oh, okay. First, let me differentiate between when I say lucid dreaming, I'm talking about laying your body down to go to sleep and remaining conscious and aware and leaving your body that way, not just like you're already dreaming and then you become awake, lucid. And when I'd say astral projection, I'm meaning, like you go sit down on a chair and leave your body then. Astral projection is a little easier than the wake induced lucid dreaming, laying down and going to sleep. But either way, when you're astral projecting, you want to sit down. I tend to mostly talk about lucid dreaming because that's what I do mostly versus astral projection. So that's why. But not everyone is like me. I do that mostly because I can rest on the understandings that I have that my soul has brought into this life from the work that I've done in past lives. So that's why it's easier for me, but it's probably a lot harder for other people. So the easier experience may be astral projection. So sit down, like I said earlier, see yourself from the outside. So see your body from a certain side and then being able like feel that astral body, see with your astral eyes, hear with your astral senses, and feel the astral body. Raise your hands up and look at your astral hands and feel them. That feeling is what's going to really put you into that body because you are where your attention is. That feeling is going to place your attention within the astral body, and then it will pull. The feeling goes first, and then it will pull the rest of your consciousness into that body, and boom, you're out. So in a way, through interpreting this, we are going to kind of go through some of the techniques. All right. So, like we said,
Oh, real quick,
yeah, go ahead.
what's the main difference between an astral projection and a lucid dreaming?
Your perspective. That's it. It's the exact same experience. Whether you're so it's all just awareness. It's all about the level of awareness. If you are someone who doesn't dream, you have no awareness of yourself outside of your body. If you're someone who remembers your dreams, you have an awareness of a memory of when you were outside of your body. If you have a lucid dream that most people have, where like you just wake up and you're out in a dream, then all of a sudden, wait a second, this is a dream. And you wake up and you're lucid, and then you wake up and remember that, you have a little bit more awareness. If you then remember when you're leaving your body and when you're coming back, that's astral projection. Now, if you do it at nighttime when you're about to go to sleep, that's still, considered lucid dreaming, but it's all astral projection. Even the people who aren't remembering any dreams at night at all ever, they're still astrally projecting out of their bodies every single night because your consciousness doesn't sleep, your soul doesn't need to sleep. Your soul is made up of your emotional body, your astral body, and your mental body. The body that can use on this level, on these two levels, which are pretty much just one, which we'll kind of go over. Then this level. So you have an emotional body, an astral body, and a mental body, and etheric body also. Um, that's like kind of still really part of the physical body. It's like the energetic fur of the physical body. But these make up your soul. And when people talk about their aura, being able to see someone's aura, you are seeing those energetic bodies, which are bigger than the physical body. So that's why it looks like an aura around the physical body when you're able to see that. So really, the difference is just awareness and perspective from that awareness. Right.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. So when he's on the so right now in the story, we are at the point where he's leaving the physical, boom, going into the emotional, and what going through that doorway. Yes, excuse me. May I have a pillow and a blanket, please? Now that's the tools for sleeping, right? And sleep is all about assimilation, assimilating your life experiences, breaking your life experiences down and identifying what you have to learn from them. She says, sure, 125. Well, remember, what did we say? 1 plus 2 plus 5 equals 8. 8 is all about self value. But everything's about the self, so I put self value. Everything's about the self. But value. What do you value? And so it's indicating that these tools for assimilating are highly valuable before you go within. Now, when you sleep, what's going on? You're dreaming. Now, you're dreaming. How do you understand what's going on when you dream? Dream interpretation, universal language of mind, everything we're learning right here in this class. The universal language of mind, the language that the mind speaks in. There is so much value, tremendous value that it has. And that is the tool for assimilation. And that is necessary. It's so valuable on this journey going within, because if you don't understand how to interpret and identify what you're seeing within the astral plane, then you won't understand what it actually is. You know, if you go within and you see a horse running around, a horse represents willpower. But if you don't know that, and you just pull out a gun and shoot the horse, oh my god, that was so cool of an experience. You just shot your willpower. And now when you wake up, that's like mental surgery. Now when you wake up, you will have transformed your willpower, and so you will need to be very, very mindful of what you do with your willpower moving forward. Will it transform into a higher form, or will it transform into a lower form? I mean, like, so when you're going within, it is very important to know what you're looking at and identify what you're seeing to really understand what to do with it and what to do about it. That's why he says this here. That's why she says $125. You know, and even when you're watching it, you're sitting there thinking like, God damn, for a pillow and blanket, $125? Because she could have just said $8. It would have had the same message, but it wouldn't have the impact of just how valuable that is. Like on the live stream earlier, I said, and I mean it every time. I say it all the time. Man, learning this language is so valuable to me because I mean, and that's one of the main reasons. Now I can go inside my dream, and I don't just sit there and play around with stuff because I know that it's there for a reason. And if I do play around with it, I know what to do about it. But anyways, this has tremendous value. Understanding how to assimilate what you're experiencing, especially when you're working with your emotions, your emotional level. It'll help you to understand what's going on in the emotional level, what's going on with your emotions. So you have to process your emotions. It's very important right now to process your emotions because you're going into the emotional level. It's the first place you're going in. Um, that's the first place you're going into. So you're going to have to actually process what's there. So whatever in your life you've been stuffing away and storing away, emotions you've been stuffing away, you're going to have to now face them. All right. And so this was pretty cool. I thought when I noticed it, this was just like in the background. Um, it was a news update that was on the TV while he was going within, and at the very bottom it said here something about the very first journey that was made to the moon was in 1968. Well, 1 plus 9 plus 6 plus 8 equals 24. 2 plus 4 equals 6. 6 is the power of the subconscious mind. And the moon represents subconscious awareness. I was like, oh, wow, look at this. And the funniest part was that this really was the year when we went to the moon. Allegedly, I don't know. I didn't experience it. So some people say we did. Some people say we didn't. It don't really matter to me. So it has nothing to do with me. I don't worry about it. All right. So next part, when he gets there, he says that it's just like Earth. Everything there is just like Earth. That's to help you to understand that the emotional level is the Earth element, like we were talking about, Earth element, water element, fire element, and air element. So he says this so that we can have the indication that this is the emotional level. It is the Earth element. He mentions this to set the scene that everything happening at this point of the journey is going on within the emotional level of mind. You must clear the emotional level of any unproductive emotions. You must transform all parts of the self that do not align with your purpose. That's why they go on that journey with, on the little carts, and here and out comes these out of the darkness, out of the unawareness. I should have took a video and put that up here too. I can only pick one or the other. And I decided to pick that this mind triangle. But if you remember from the movie, they're driving on them little moon crafts, and then out of the darkness come these other moon crafts. So now, like I said, when you any emotions that you've stuffed away and things, when you first go in, it's going to be there waiting for you. You were unaware of it before, you had it stuffed away. Now you're aware of it. Now you have to do something about it. It's going to try to change you. In that emotion that you stuffed away, any emotion tied to like traumatic events or anything, any emotions tied to that, you got to face it, or else like they shoot and kill the guy who was driving, and then he had to take control. So you have to, be in control. You have to master the self, or you will always be the slave. I say it all the time. So you have to transform these parts, and that's what they do. That's what he does. He kills all. It's like five different cars eventually, four or five different cars, and he kills all of them. But on the way back in, they say, Colonel Pruitt, Colonel, we're picking up an irregular heartbeat. So you have to let go of the attachment of the ego in order to go deeper. Now, the ego can go along with you in the emotional because it's so much tied to you. The emotions are so close. Emotional level is so close to the physical. Emotional level is so close. But to go any deeper, you have to let go of the ego, which is all about your physical identity. When you're born, uh, when you're born every lifetime, before that lifetime, none of this down here exists. This isn't here yet. In between after your last life, you have your soul and your spirit. And then when you're born, boom, you have a new physical body with a new conscious mind and a new ego. And the more older that you get, the more these three things develop. So if you go within, you have to let go of the attachment of the ego in order to go any deeper. That's what that part's about. After you've transformed yourself so much. First, the one guy, the little coworker died. Now you've actually consciously caused someone to die. You're consciously killing off these unproductive parts of yourself that are trying to steal from because they were stealing. They were pirates, so stealing the value. So ways in which you talk down on yourself. Ways in which you don't believe in yourself. That's the parts that need to change. That's the parts that you need to transform. So when he does realize that Colonel Pruitt can't go any further, Brad Pitt, Colonel Major McBride, everybody calls him Major, Major, anyways, um, Major McBride is he says he's supposed to be my security blanket. Why does he still do it? Your attachment to your ego has provided you security in knowing who you are. There's security in that. You lived your whole life knowing yourself as Roy here. What I mean? Knowing yourself as this identity, this person, this entity, this identity. You've understood and known it to be that. And so, you know, there's a level of security in that versus when you let go of that identity, that's you're not so secure. There isn't such a strong foundation because then you don't know yourself. But you have to do that because if you want to know who you are beyond this physical, the rest of the self, because you're more than all of this. Like you're really you're the I am, the real self beyond this mind. which is a tool for experiencing, beyond the superconscious mind, subconscious mind, conscious mind, beyond the spirit, the soul, and the body, beyond those, because those are just vehicles. Just like the conscious, just like the physical body is a vehicle in this 3D reality, the soul is a vehicle in the 4D. I mean, the spirit is just a vehicle in the 5D. Now, each is less and less dense because it's of higher and higher vibrations. But beyond all of those is your consciousness, your true self, your I am, that uses those bodies to experience life, water, within these parts of the superconscious, subconscious, and conscious minds. So if you want to go deeper and know yourself in a deeper way, you have to let go of the identity you have of the physical body. You have to let it go. That's what's now at the heart of the matter. That's why it's an irregular heartbeat. As you go deeper, you'll find out that the attachment here is irregular, it's abnormal. You shouldn't actually be identifying yourself as only a body. It's kind of weird. I remember a time where I thought that this way of thinking was weird. Just the other day, I had somebody comment like, these astral experiences are just imaginings. You're only imagining things within your brain. That's all that's happening. And I was like, man, that sounds so weird. Like, I don't even know how to respond to this guy because it's so weird. Anyways, where did I leave off here? But you must let this go in order to for yourself to or in order for your self identity to transform. Exactly. Your awareness of what the ego truly is will increase at this point in ego transformation. So it's going to go through a transformation, which you'll see he goes to surgery. I mean, you won't see it, you just hear about it. Your ego is your motivating force. It is what pushes you further. That's why at the very last scene, when you see him, he's telling him, go, you have to go, Roy, go. He's pushing him forward. No, don't worry about me. I mean, don't remain attached to me. Let go and go. Keep going deeper. Keep going forward, pushing yourself further. And there's another ego person that comes in because, as we do go deeper, you have a new identity. I have a new identity as someone who does understand and know myself in a way larger degree than I used to, and the majority of people around me. That's a new level of ego that I then also have to then work with and continue to transform, continue to make sure that I'm in control. I don't get carried away of, oh man, look at all this praise I'm getting. Oh man, look at all these likes I'm getting. Oh man, look at all these views I'm getting. Who cares? That is of no importance. I remain calm and focused on the mission at hand. But I could let that get to me. You know what I mean? And it would get carried away. But you'll see that later. There's a new level of when he gets to Mars and those other people that are there trying to tell him what to do and things. That's the new level of you, what it transforms into. But anyways, now he's left Mars and he's going into a new vehicle to reach a new level. I mean, moon. He's left the moon and he's hopped onto a new uh, spaceship. And now he's going into, boom, the astral. The new vehicle, you are where your attention is. Like I said earlier when you asked that question, Eric, you are where your attention is. Is concentration is so vital of a skill. Being able to control your attention will allow you to control where you are at within the astral. It's like having a steering wheel. So it shows us while he's on this spaceship, he goes back and starts watching this video about his dad. Okay, let me remain focused on where I'm going. Keep my attention on where I'm wanting to go so that I can then move there because the fourth dimension is time. So there is no time that needs to pass in order to travel. You'll just go right there. So you must remain focused on where you're wanting to go. You must create a visualized image in your mind to get direct on where you're wanting to go. And so that's why you see the number set like I think right behind his head when he was sitting right before he walked to the back of the spacecraft to look at this video. Right behind his head was a long sequence of numbers. I think I took a picture of it. I had so many of these things to make. I had to pick and choose some to not put in it, but there was a number 7 behind it, which was all about uh, visualization, visualizing this. You're seeing it within your mind. You're going to go there. So now, Vespa 9, before they make it to, uh, before they get into the lower astral, they come across a little space station that's, has a Mayday call. So that's all with this. So in order to really go deeper past the emotional level, You have to not only let go of the ego, but you have to transform the monkey mind. I mean, the scattered, erratic part of your mind. You have to let go of the primal part of your mind and be in conscious control. Like I said, if you do not master your mind, you will always be its slave. If you are not the master of your mind, then you are a slave to the person who is the master of your mind. Meaning, if you do not control how you program your mind, then you'll be a slave to the programmings. The person who is programming your mind. Usually from when we were a child, the environment, people, and the states of mind and beliefs of the people who taught us when we were growing up, or TV. Watching television programs. They program you for real. The more you watch them, the stronger the programming. But anyways, you have to transform this monkey mind. So when they get to this Vespa, they go in, and Vespa, uh, it was the goddess of the hearth, which is the home, and your home is all about your regular conscious state. So whenever you have a dream about your home, your house, or a former home, it's talking about like your everyday consciousness, your everyday, your regular state of mind. Like, yeah, like, for me, it's always talking about like just a kind of go with the flow kind of state of mind, because that's my regular state of mind, just kind of going with the flow, bringing joy and making jokes and things like that. But sometimes I can be angry, sometimes I can be sad, sometimes I can be quiet and reserved, contemplative. So these are different states of mind. But my regular state of mind is, kind of go with the flow kind of thing. So it's this Vespa 9 is talking about your regular state of mind. And it's Vespa 9 because it's come to a level of completion. So we need to transform into a new level of a regular state of mind, a regular conscious state needs to have a new level. In order to get there, we have to transform the monkey mind. So in order to go deeper and reach the astral level with conscious awareness, you must complete a level of learning within your home, regular conscious state. To do this, you must transform your monkey mind. This is done by strengthening your concentration and willpower. Because, like I said, if you are not in control of your mind, then when you go deeper, you're gonna not be in control of where you're going and what you're experiencing. And I don't know why you would want to go within and not be in control of where you go, because there are infinite numbers of places you can go. If you aren't in control, then oh man, I don't know what you're doing. Why are you here? So that's what is needed to go deeper. So he can't go deeper in space until he, kills that monkey, because he tries to go deeper. He tries to tell them, no, pass this place up. And they even say to him, because he is a higher rank than everybody on the ship. They say, no, we can't go. We have to, help this Mayday call. This is what we're doing. And they say to him, now you are within your right to take command of this ship. You'll have to tell us your objective for doing so. He says, all right, fine. We'll go answer the Mayday call. So, he tries to go deeper. It's like, no, you ain't going deeper unless you really force your way deeper. Yeah, sure, you can go, but that's on you. You know what I mean? Do you even have an objective for doing that? Like, no, do this first. Face the monkey mind, build your concentration and your willpower in order to be able to traverse deeper. And after he does, or he fully, after he does do that, and before he actually fully leaves the emotional level and gets to the lower astral level, he has to process his emotions. To move deeper in the emotional, then the emotional level, we must assess and process the emotions and the trauma that is at the root of some of these emotions. So that's why in the dialogue that he's using, he's doing his psyche eval thing, and he says, just as no, I'm calm, I'm steady, I'm ready to go. Well, what happened? Well, we had to, kill this monkey, and that's that. That was the experience, and things like, no, you got to go deeper. It's like, okay, well, there was a rage in this monkey. I understand that rage. I've seen that rage with my father. And then he starts talking about the rage and like, a traumatic experience of his when he was a kid, and how he has this rage because his dad left him, when he was a kid. His dad left him when he was a kid and was gone for 30 years, his whole life out in space. You know what I mean? So it was like a traumatic thing for him leaving. So he's processing the emotions. So there's a level of experience that has nothing to do with his dad, the monkey on the ship. And he's through processing that, he can understand the emotions that were tied to it. And then he takes them deeper and gets to the root of it. So he's digging out the root of this. So that's why I said, if you want to go deeper and move past the emotional level, You have to process all of the emotions that are there. You have to dig deep and do the work. I mean, you can't just bypass it. You can't just, get past it. You have to do the work. Nobody else can do it for you. You have to do the work. So they finally get to Ursa 9, and we'll talk about what Ursa means in 9 here in a minute, on Mars, which is the astral. The astral plane is Mars. The lower and the upper. We'll see the delineation here in a minute. But in landing, he had to then take command of the ship. The other guy was flying, and then he took command of the ship. And at the end, he was like, "Don't worry, I'm not going to tell everybody that you froze up and I took command." And why was that? Because things were kind of tumultuous a little bit because they just left the emotional level, so it's not so calm and steady no more. I mean, he just got done processing all this trauma that's been stored up since he was a kid. So shit ain't so level anymore. He's off axis, he's off kilter, so he has to take control. That's why you have to, control, transform the monkey mind and have concentration. You have to take control and remain balanced. You have to remain calm because if he doesn't remain calm, then he'll be shot, back to the body. You must at all times remain in control and balance. If you are not the master of your mind, then you will always be the slave. So we're on. Oh, I kind of messed these up. I think spent like 7 hours doing these. This was also supposed to be a part of this. So Ursa, lower astral, water element. Um, so like we said, earth, water, fire, air. We talked about it in week 1. We talked about it last week, and so now we're also seeing it in this movie. Put it in this movie for us. So Ursa. Oh man, did I not? Hold on. Oh man, did I just miss that whole thing? Okay, I guess I did. I don't think I made that slide. Oh geez, I'm gonna have to put this back in. Oh well. Anyways, Ursa. I'll just tell you about it. Ursa is the goddess of dew, which is water. And so when he first gets there, it's the Ursa 9 station. So Ursa is the Greek goddess or Roman goddess of the dew, which is water. The water drops on the grass in the morning. So that's how they're telling you that this is the lower astral, which is associated with the water element. So when he first gets there, he goes into a room and gets checked in, and then he goes into a hallway. Hallways represent accesses into different levels of mind. That's why, or like tunnels also. That's why, like people say, I see the light at the end of the tunnel. That's going through that void. Should have like leveled, like put like some disbursement in here. Going through that void, that tunnel, hallway. This hallway. He's going through this hallway. He's barely in the lower astral. Most of the lower astral is talked about by like entering into it. It's mostly talking about it by entering into it. Once you actually get there, boom, the story's moving along into the upper astral. So, oh yeah, also real quick, now we're in the upper astral. We've already experienced more than 50% of the subconscious mind. So now we can say we actually know what the subconscious mind is. We've gone more than 50% deep into it. So that's why women represent subconscious aspect. I'm Helen Lantos, Director of Operations here, a woman. So you can identify the subconscious mind now. Now you've gone more than 50% of it. So after entering Ursa base, Major McBride travels through a hallway. So that's signifying that even though he just got here to the lower astral, boom, we're already moving into the upper astral. And they're both pretty much the same. Lower and upper astral is still the astral. That's why it's all on Mars. But um, so hallways, access deep levels of mind, women, subconscious aspects. Between the upper and lower astral is the center of the subconscious mind. Now having awareness of the mind, more than 50% of the subconscious mind can be identified. So Mars is the red planet, ruled by Aries, a fire sign. Now we have the fire of the element of the upper astral. That's why we're here on this planet. That's why they chose Mars. So at this point, it is vital. So once you're someone who is going deeper and deeper, like I said, you start off in the room, then go a little deeper, then actually leave the physical 3D and start to move into the astral, move deeper into the mind. First, work on your emotions, process your emotions. Now, as an initiate, at some point, and this is the point, you have to go deep. You have to start a meditation practice. You have to start some sort of still mind meditation. That's why he's in this soundproof room. A still mind meditation is where you remove all of your attention from your outer senses, including your thoughts, your mind. So you still the mind, but you remove your attention from your senses of sound, your taste, feeling, sight, all of that. When I first moved to Louisville 9 years ago, I lived in a place where I met or well, it was on a very busy street, and the window, like where I chose to meditate, there was like this little ducked out space, like a little cubby hole kind of thing in the room that was right under a window, and that's where I chose to meditate. But it just happened to be the very front of the house, which was right next to this busy street, very very busy street. It wasn't like just like a regular street; it was like 4 lanes, and it was wild to me that I could just go there and meditate, and I'd be going within completely. And then it wasn't until I brought my attention to my back to my body, took a deep breath and exhaled, then opened my eyes. Boom! I could hear the busy street all of a sudden again. I never heard it the whole time I was meditating because I was removing my attention from outside senses. So that's what this is representing. He's in this little room. And that's kind of what it feels like. It feels like you're just like in a room observing everything around you. But anyways, and then so it's funny because when I watched this movie, because that's also how I practiced meditation at that time was I would spend like my first 10 minutes praying, and then I would spend the next 15 minutes listening. And that's exactly what's going on here. Um, he's giving this message, this radio communication. Radios represent communicating with the self. It's going to out to his father, the superconscious mind. And then they're waiting for a response. Then he comes back and does, have you heard back from my father? They didn't tell him. Then, and these people are like the new ego. Um, and they have to do another radio transmission. Sends out the message. And he asks again, "Did you hear from my father?" And then they come in. And they say, "Oh, you have to go back to the body. You have to go back to Earth." He's like, "Fuck no, I ain't going back to Earth. I'm going deeper." And then he has to like, get back onto the ship. But essentially at this point, it is vital to begin incorporating a still mind meditation as well as a proper prayer of both expressing your thoughts and your thoughts dedicated to the Most High, your real self, and the superconscious mind, as well as time spent expectantly listening. So that's what I mean when you pray, give space and time to listen for a response. Have a still mind meditation, and this might not be where you're at right now, you know, but after you do the work of your emotions, because there's really not going to be much success if you do this still mind meditation as far as receiving from the superconscious mind if you haven't processed all of these emotions that are still sitting in here. Your emotions are all junked up. There's a whole bunch of just gunk blocking the emotion all up in your emotions. And you have some thoughts coming from the superconscious mind trying to come down. Bing, it's gonna get blocked. I mean, me through through the Akashic records, I've come to find out and be aware of my part of my dharma, or part of my healing quality, like being around me, just my natural effect on them, just being my own self when I'm centered within myself. I'm able to carve pathways through the chitta, which is the mind substance. So that's like all of a sudden, all this is going on. All of a sudden, there's like it's like a pathway is carved within their mind. Sometimes through being around me. So now this pathway is there, and now these thoughts that have been trying to come through from the subconscious and superconscious can finally get through. Just happened to my friend Dave the other day. We were playing golf. In the middle of golf, I just randomly asked him a question. It wasn't nothing to me. I mean, I thought that's where the conversation was going, kind of thing. But for him, like he wasn't the same the whole rest of the day. He's probably still not the same today. He's probably still thinking, "I need to check up on him." This is like 2 days ago. But and the things that he was thinking about, he told me, I was like, dude, those aren't, that isn't has nothing to do with what I said. That just what I said just allowed you to shift your mind and pause still your mind just enough to where those thoughts can come through. Because if your mind is racing, and you're having all these thoughts all day long, then you can't get those thoughts to come through. There's no space there. That's why the conscious mind is aggressive, subconscious mind is receptive. That aggressive conscious mind is just blocking the way, bullying it up, you know, being like a bulldozing its way through, making sure that those thoughts are what's forefront. So like it, it's like if I called you on the phone, I had something to tell you, but or if you called me on the phone, you had something to tell me. But as soon as hey, hello, hey, what's going on, man? How you been? I ain't heard from you in forever. Nah, I'm just, what I'm doing? I'm over here sitting here doing this little live. I seen you call, so I figured it must have been important. So I just wanted to answer and see what you wanted. So, I guess I hope you're doing okay and family's all doing okay. I'm glad you called because I was wanting to tell you something, but I'm doing this live. Let me talk to you later. All right, bye. I never gave the person on the other line any chance to get a thought in. You know what I mean? So if that's how your conscious mind is going, there's no space there to receive any higher thoughts. So you have to create space in the mind. That's why concentration is so vital. You have to, and working with your emotions allows you to then create space in order to receive these higher thoughts. Listening. All right. If you remain calm while in the astral, your emotions will pull you back to your body. Oh yeah. So when they were telling him, "Hey, you got to go back to to Earth," he says, "No, I'm fine." They're trying to tell him, and then the one guy says, "Hey, your BPM is a lot higher than normal. You might want to go do a psyche eval. Your some, I think he says something. How are you feeling? Your emotions, your feelings." And so if you allow yourself to continue to get excited, it's a reminder that if you get excited, it's going to pull. Yeah, he's up here right now. You're right here right now. But if you start to get emotional about things, as you discover more about yourself, because right here in the middle is the Akashic records. So if while you're in here, you're looking at some past life stuff, and you start getting emotional about it, it's gonna, you're it's gonna pull you to the emotional level. Well, if you start this momentum instead of this upward momentum, you start this downward momentum. Where's the next place to go? Back to the physical, back to the body. You're gonna wake up. You're not gonna be able to go deeper. And as you expand, so far, because this isn't just like all on one journey. This is like as you're going through life and you're expanding consciousness. Like I said, time is not linear. It's about the elevation of consciousness, how high you're raising your consciousness. And as you do that, you begin to like see now he's in this room with these walls all around him. Yeah, the walls like project different images, this augmented reality, but it's really to represent limitations. The walls represent limitations. So the more you expand, the more you become aware of your own limitations, beliefs and things that you have in your mind that are limiting you on what you can experience. In order to get past that, you have to become motivated to get past that. That's why the girl comes in and starts talking to him about things and motivates him to go, hey, they're sending a nuclear bomb to your dad if they don't hear no message back. It motivates him on where he's desiring to go and why he needs to get there. So you're wanting to connect your superconscious mind, your soul, subconscious mind, and your conscious mind. You're wanting to unify your physical body, your soul, and your spirit. Remain focused on that and remain why, and keep your attention on why you want to experience that, why you want that to happen and occur and be true. So that motivation allows you to expand beyond those limitations. The more your consciousness expands, the more you become aware of your personal limitations. You must put forth the necessary effort to do whatever you must in order to break through and expand beyond it. That's what that girl does. She breaks him out, lets him get back onto the ship. So being back on the ship now, because now we're going to go deeper to the mental level. And he gets back on the ship. Well, the one people didn't want him to go further. And so there's other aspects of yourself that aren't going to be in alignment with that mission. There's old ways of being that, maybe not so productive or, not being responsible or not being dependent, being dependent on other people or, just whatever parts of yourself that aren't in alignment with, evolving and growing and you have to transform those. You have to change them. So he gets on there and he even tells them like, look, y'all, I'm not trying to do this. I don't want to do this, but they force the issue. It's just like in the Bhagavad Gita. I don't know if how many of you are aware of it, but Bhagavad Gita is about this young prince Arjuna, who his dad owns the kingdom, and his dad's brother, his uncle, and all of his uncle's family wants to take over control of the kingdom. But so there's this war going on. Arjuna's sitting there saying, he's like, "This is my family. This is the parts of myself that I'm familiar with. I don't want to have to fight them. I don't want to have to change them and transform them. I'm familiar with, only doing just enough. I'm familiar with being dependent on other people to a degree. I'm familiar with, stuffing away my emotions and not processing. That's what's familiar to me. But is it unproductive? Is it what's best for the kingdom? Is it what's best for your whole self? No. So that's why, Krishna, who's like the embodiment of God talking to Arjuna, he tells him, Arjuna, you must pick up your bow and fight. You must transform these parts of yourself. If you don't fight and you allow them to take control, is that going to be good for the kingdom? The people who are under your family's ruling, the people who are you're responsible for, are they going is it in their best interest for you to let them take over? These unproductive parts of yourself, you got to transform them, you got to change them. Through this process of bringing new limitations, you must go through even more self transformation, transforming the parts of yourself that do not align with your soul growth and spiritual development. So we also see a progression here in the very beginning on the antenna. The guy dies on his own, like through the explosion. Pruitt, we don't really know if he dies, he just has surgery. And then Major McBride has to kill the monkey, he kills an animal. Now he actually kills people. There's a progression here, like you're causing this change, but it's very important to identify what parts of the self he's choosing to change. you know it was in self-defense anyways. So he's choosing to change these parts of himself. I remember when I very first started meditating and working on my dreams and stuff, and concentration and willpower every day. Like I had, I would meditate. It got to the point where I was doing 45-minute meditation, 30-minute concentration, 30-minute visualization, uh, 10 to 15-minute energy, life force energy exercise, memory exercise every day, reading 30 minutes a day at minimum, and um, oh yeah, 30 minute astral projection exercise every single day. It was like 4 hours of spiritual discipline every single day. And so before then, when I very first started being very disciplined like that, I had all types of dreams of me like running through the city, just like like some action hero movie, just killing off all these drug cartel guys. Or like the next night I'd be in the jungle, running through the jungle like I'm John Rambo, just killing hundreds of guys that are all like part of the cartels. I mean, there was always like, parts of myself that were unproductive, that weren't doing anything for me, that were actually working against me. So I was transforming those parts of myself. Now, I go back to Cincinnati. People all the time will tell my friends, they're like, man, these people be seeing your posts and stuff. They think you're a fraud. They think you're faking it, you know, because I've completely transformed. I'm a totally different person. They still view me as that same person I used to be. Now also, I'll tell people that know me now, for years, people know me for like 4 or 5 years. I'll tell them a story from, just 10 years ago, 11, 12 years ago. And they'll laugh. They think I'm making it up, or I'm just being funny because I'm always making jokes. So they won't believe it at all. They won't believe it at all because it's absolutely nothing like who I am, because I've transformed those parts of myself. Not only did I do it just with dreams, I've, lucid dreamed and looked like, okay, I'm in the astral plane. This person represents this part of myself. Okay, I'm changing this right now. Boom, killed it. And then I woke up, was like, okay, I've changed this part of myself. Let me make sure I no longer am like that, so I can help facilitate, like this, like when you have surgery and you extract, if you have a tumor on your stomach and you have surgery to pull that out, you're not going to just go start weightlifting and playing basketball the next day. You're going to make sure you do the necessary things. Don't continue to do some things, and do the necessary things to facilitate the healing. So I do the same thing when I extracted, those different parts of myself. I'm specifically talking about a specific dream experience that I had at a specific time. But I woke up and did that. So, anyways, in this part right here where he kills them, the way that they die is all of the oxygen is left out of the room, or no, a fire extinguisher is let out. So there isn't any more really oxygen left. So he yells out, Yoshida, that's this guy, Yoshida, oxygen, Yoshida, oxygen. That's to help you to identify that, you know, there isn't a new base. Like first we were at the moon, then we were at the base on Mars, and then we were at the other part of Mars after the hallway. So there's physical spaces to represent these different levels. The Yoshida oxygen is to help you to identify that this is now in the mental level. And then that's why the whole time he's, there on the plane by himself, because he's also going for like 187 days or something. He has to travel by himself. And he's the whole time, there's just like this long sequence of all of these thoughts, him remembering these memories of all these thoughts that have gotten him to where he's at today. So the Yoshida oxygen, air, also one of the images within it is this random little kid sitting in some wind on a windy day. Wind represents your thoughts, and wind also represents air. So, and then you have the wind turbines, also wind, which is represented by thoughts, but also wind, air. So you can tell that that's them indicating for you that we are now, even though we haven't landed anywhere else, we are now in the mental level, your thoughts, the mental level, the element of air, wind. Wind represents thoughts. So this is to convey the transition into the mental level of the air element. This is why Major McBride continues to reflect on all the thoughts that brought him to this point. Notice one of the flashback thoughts is windy with wind turbine in the background to further convey this as the mental level. So you're in the mental level now. That is also why, after being on this vehicle, he has to get into a different vehicle to go there. So that way they can indicate that, yes, we're in the mental level, but we then have to have a different vehicle to traverse into the fifth dimension of the causal level. Okay, and so thought is cause. That's why he's also going over all of these thoughts that have caused him to get to where he's at on this journey. So now we're in the causal level. Since the current ship is being used to convey, being used to convey the mental level, we must enter a new vehicle in order to traverse into the next level of mind, the causal level of superconscious mind. That's why this quote, he says it while he's going through. In the end, the son suffers the sins of the father. The father is the superconscious mind, meaning that everything that the son experiences is caused by the actions of the father. So father representing superconscious mind. When you go into the superconscious mind, the very first level is the causal level. You'll be able to see what's causing these other things to happen. Now, again, to reiterate, the fifth dimension is space. So now you are able to no longer be locked in the present moment and also no longer be locked into a singular space. You can experience all things at all times. That's why it's universal consciousness, cosmic up here, cosmic consciousness. Being able to experience all things at once. Like I said before in week one, you have these two lines on the outside. Out here in the physical, way out here in the 3D and the physical, at the beginning of the journey, these lines seem very separate. You and I seem very separate. We're connected now through this internet, but we feel like we're very separate. The further and deeper within you go, the closer and more connected you feel with other people until you get all the way into the highest, most point of the mind, the field of experience, and you understand that we are all one. It's actually connected. These aren't two separate lines. It's just one outer border that is bent in two different directions. But it's all the same. It's all one. We can experience ourselves as one. And so that's what the fifth dimension of space is conveying here. So let's go back to here. So since the current ship is, so that's what I was saying. This quote is to drive home the point that we are moving into the causal level. The father's experiences are the cause of the son's experiences. So the superconscious mind being having that blueprint is what's causing you to experience the things within your life. Everything in your life, no matter whether it's you're seeing your universal law of perspective, how you see anything is how you're going to see everything. So no matter what's going on in your life and how you're seeing it, whether it's a good thing or a bad thing, you're going through a bad time in life and you're depressed and all this stuff happens to you. I was talking to my friend earlier. That's kind of what I'm explaining. He's depressed because it, all this stuff has happened, and so a lot of stuff is going on. I've been there. I've been there. The very last time I was in a similar state like that, not like depression or anything, but just like shit. Just seems like nothing's going. It just seems like nothing's going right and everything's going wrong. The main thing that got me out of it was when it snapped and I finally realized, like, oh my god, I teach this all the time. Why did I not think about this sooner? Everything in life is either manifesting your desires, fulfilling the blueprint for you on your soul's purpose, or it is There to stimulate you to change in the necessary ways in order to manifest your desires, one or the other. It's either helping pushing you forward where you're needing to go, or it's helping to push you in the right direction to make the proper changes that you need to make in order to get where you need to go. Causal. So in here, there's a point where they unite hands. Hands represent purpose. You must align your purpose with your soul's purpose, which is found in the superconscious mind. The superconscious mind is holding that blueprint. That's why, like Tommy Lee Jones, who's the father, he's telling him, like, man, I didn't care about anything going on Earth. I didn't care about you, your mom. I didn't care about none of that stuff because the superconscious mind is so far detached. It understands not to be not to take things that are going on in life so serious. Like, don't be so attached to everything going on in life. It's only going to happen for 80 to 160 years, depending on your level of belief and how strong of a habit you have in your mind of dying. But anyways, that's a whole other conversation. But you know, this lifetime is so short in comparison to the lifetime of your soul. And even that is so short in comparison to the lifetime of your spirit. And so, from the perspective of the superconscious mind, the things that are happening within the conscious mind in your physical life are so minute in comparison to the grand scheme of what your purpose is for this life. And so that's why he's saying these things is to convey this perspective. So I didn't put all of that on there, or else we'd have like 5 more slides. It's already 10 pages. Okay, we're almost to the end. So, with this new alignment of the conscious, subconscious, and superconscious, you will begin to receive more and more downloads of superconscious thoughts throughout your day and within your meditations. That is because you have cleared out the emotions you can receive from these higher thoughts. You have unified these minds. You have created a stronger relationship with your soul and your spirit. So, just like your closest friends and family members, you hear from them a lot more often than you hear from, the guy you ran into at the grocery store the other day. You're never going to hear from that guy. You know what I mean? And so, you hear from your best friend all the time. And so you've created a stronger and closer relationship with your subconscious, superconscious. So you will receive the superconscious thoughts and you will receive the subconscious thoughts more and more. So the data download initiated. He's downloading the data and taking it back to Earth. All of the data that his dad found. You have access to all of that when you unify. The more unified you are, the more access you have to it. So when they're leaving, he takes off. He takes off even further because his purpose. He understands that his purpose is to go beyond the mind, beyond the spirit, and then he, drifts off into nothingness because the field of experience. He's no longer experiencing anything. So beyond whole field of experience, he understands that his purpose is eventually to know the self beyond the mind, beyond the vehicles of experiencing the mind. So that's what he says. Let me go, Roy. And like I said, he's the only one that ever calls him Roy. Everybody else calls him Major. The ego does too on the other end. But anyways, to continue to grow, you must learn how to let go. Attachment is the root of all suffering. The more attached you are to things, then the more you will suffer when you need to let them go or when they are gone. So now, letting him go doesn't mean he has to, forget about him. You know, when you're letting things go, you're no longer being attached to them. That doesn't mean, they're gone forever. They're just, no longer that way. And you need to let go of how you experienced it. So now he's on the way back. He's on the way back and he says, Earth is 2.714 billion miles away. So remember, 0 represents power. 2.714. 2 plus 7 plus 1 plus 4 equals 14. 1 plus 4 equals 5. 5 is reasoning, power of the conscious mind. Your power, like when you've unified the conscious, subconscious, superconscious mind, the power of your subconscious mind is magnified sixfold. So much more powerful than just 5. I mean, such a bigger number than just 5. This number signify that we're headed back to the body on this journey now. Yeah. So 5 also let you know where we're going. We're going back to the conscious mind, going back to the body. Due to all that we have experienced, the power of the conscious mind has grown exponentially more powerful. When he gets there, he finally lands. You're all right, Major. These guys are so excited to pull him out. I mean, after aligning the conscious subconscious minds and attuning them to the superconscious mind, the aspects of your conscious mind are fully on board with all aligning, with aligning with the soul's purpose. I made all of these since like 12 noon this morning and finished like 5 minutes, literally 5 minutes before the live started, um, on the little TikTok live for the giveaway. And he says, "You are all right, Major," meaning all right, right, the righteous path. All of you, your whole, you've unified the self. The whole self is now on board with the righteous path because as you've gone through, you have transformed all of the parts of yourself that are not in alignment with this righteous path. So welcome back. We are all on board here, Major. So that is the journey of the initiate into the adept. And now we have the final monologue, letting you know the mind state of the adept. So he says, very similar to the beginning, I am steady, calm, I slept well, no bad dreams. It's like in the very beginning, he said that. I am calm, steady, I slept well, 8.2 hours, no bad dreams. I mean, it's 8.2 hours isn't there anymore. New level of learning of individuality because he's way beyond that level that he was on before. Understanding himself as an individual is so far beyond that now. I am steady, calm, I slept well, no bad dreams. I am active and engaged. I am aware of my surroundings and those in my immediate sphere. I'm attentive. I'm focused on the essential to the exclusion of all else. I'm unsure of the future, but I am not concerned. I will rely on those closest to me, and I will share their burdens as they share mine. I will live and love, submit. Now there's more interconnectedness. He's aware of other people and their experience and how his relationship with them causes that causes for their relationship, or their experience. And the connection that his choices have on other people. Whereas before, as the initiate, I mean, it showed a picture of like, his wife or ex-wife or whatever, just like leaving, right as he's saying, I will not allow myself to be distracted. I will not allow myself to linger on that which is unimportant. And so then now coming full circle, oh wow, yes, when I am my path and everything is very important, but I'm also here for others as well. So that's what all of this is saying. This whole mind state of the adept, someone who is adept at self awareness, someone who has cultivated a level of skills at self awareness, soul growth, and spiritual development is someone who is calm. They have increased awareness. That's what all this is saying. Aware of my surroundings and those in my immediate sphere. I'm attentive, focused on what is essential, remain present, empathic, understanding interconnectedness, exist in universal love. I will live and love, meaning I will exist in love because that's why through the interconnectedness. Here we go. Superconscious mind. You know, it's also cosmic consciousness. Is also called Christ consciousness because through understanding the interconnectedness and that we are all one. That's why Christ focused so much on love, loving yourself, loving your neighbor as yourself, because we are all connected. Any way you treat someone else is how you're going to end up being treated. The universal law of attraction, universal law of cause and effect, universal law of relativity, universal law of perspective, all of that. Exist in universal love. And how does he end it again? Submit. Submit to the will of the higher self. The adept always submit to the will of the higher self. Yeah, you may have some ideas of what you want to do in life in your conscious mind. Yeah, man, I want to be rich, have a lot of money, but I mean, what is that money going to do for you? Once you have a lot of money, then what are you going to do with your day? Submit to the will of the higher self. No matter what you consciously think you might be wanting to do, make sure that you're in alignment with the soul purpose of your superconscious mind. And if that purpose conflicts with what you're consciously wanting to do, then your conscious desires need to submit to the will of the higher self. That's a Tough lesson for me. Uh, Took me on a big detour, a few years. All right, so that is the movie, going from the initiate to the adept. Next week's class, we're going to go over the different types of dreams: precognitive dreams, visitation dreams, and incubation dreams, and also lucid dreams, and being able to incubate lucid dreams as well.